Year, we were named a semifinalist for the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025. Wait for it. Wait for it.
You ready?
KBLA Talk 1580 was recently selected as one of 10 finalists being considered for this prestigious award. Hundreds of organizations, institutions, and even cities were nominated in the selection process. But KBLA Talk 1580 has made it to the finals. You're invited to watch live on Wednesday, April 16th. At 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, as Eco America announces the winner and the runner-up, awarding over $200,000 in prize money. To watch live, just go to ecoamerica.org to register and attend the online ceremony. That's ecoamerica.org. Don't miss the presentation of the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025, Wednesday, April 16th, and wish us luck. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-511-2112. That's 800-511-2112. 800-511-2112.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, aka the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. To thine own self be true. More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner coming your way right now on KBLA Talk 1580.
Oh, so important. And Dr. West, you definitely raised some very poignant issues in this very moment. I certainly believe that what happens over there happens over here. And a lot of this stuff is being done in our name. Not done because the American people want it to be done, as we can see from October the 7th of last year, which was very tragic, very wrong. And people like you, like me, we always say that what Hamas did was wrong. We do hold that innocent people should not be attacked. Innocent people should not be violated. It is hard to get folks who lean way over on the other side to say the same thing for what is happening to the Palestinian people. So if we're not going to follow morality and we're not going to follow law, and I'm just saying we, generally speaking, then what are we following? And for folks who don't believe and understand that there's a connection between allowing the slaughter of innocent people to happen in Gaza, there is a connection to what happens to poor and marginalized people in the United States of America, Dr. West. It is the same spirit. It is the same energy that what happens over there happens over here. Now, we can go back in history, or we can just talk modern day. Whatever people want, we got something for them on this. But we do have a problem in this nation, and we do have a problem in the world. And people like President Donald J. Trump, they're starting to use Palestinian, even the word Palestinian, as a racial slur. Just even the use of the word. He's claiming that Senator Chuck Schumer has turned into a Palestinian. That was not a compliment.
That's exactly right. But that's part of the intimate connection between capitalist greed, imperial domination, and deep racism. In this particular case, anti-Palestinian racism. In our case, anti-Black racism. But all three of them go together. And when you get the lethal combination of those three, and people expect ourselves and others to be silent and not raise our voices and not protest. And when we do protest, we're just smeared as anti-Jewish haters. See, that's the move that generates not just the status quo, but it generates also an attack on the universities. I mean, when they take $40 million away from Columbia, when they force Harvard to say Harvard's definition of anti-Semitism is anybody who's critical of Israel as a state, it means then that they're mobilizing their own greed and hatred to silence those who are trying to stand up against greed and hatred, and then using money to what? In the end, try to destroy Harvard and Columbia and higher education across the board. Now, if they think that somehow that's going to be a struggle against anti-Jewish hatred, my dear sister, that's going to generate more anti-Jewish hatred.
Yeah.
And we fighting anti-Jewish hatred like we fighting anti-Palestinian hatred, like we fighting anti-Black hatred. But the context is one in which domination, occupation, apartheid, ethnic cleansing, and genocide taking place in Gaza. And the context in the United States is what? The aftermath of the most barbaric slavery for over 244 years, and then another 100 years of neo-slavery and lynching every 2.5 days for 50 days. And say, now we're going to treat y'all fairly after all of that. Please, please. That's another reason why the struggles against what's going on in Gaza and the struggles against what's going on, the fascism at home, go hand in hand against the solidarity that we talked about yesterday. But it's just amazing, incredible what people think they can get away with as if they think they are almighty. No, they might be mighty at the moment, but they're not almighty. And Brother Martin used to say, right, temporarily defeated is still greater than evil and greed, triumphant for a moment.
Yeah. Yeah, amen to that. I'm hoping that people who have joined us, if you're just joining us, Dr. West is giving us a highlight on what is happening right now. There was supposed to be a ceasefire, but what has been happening over the last week or so to the Palestinian people who are in the Gaza, the killing continues. I think 400 people, Doc, just recently, as a last count. It's probably more than that because
Probably
the count,
more than that.
the count can never be perfect, but for a count, let's just say over 400 people, men, women, and children being killed indiscriminately in a moment where we're supposed to really be having a ceasefire and making our way to peace. It is a one-sided operation that is happening right now. It is happening to innocent civilian Palestinians. And hey, brothers and sisters, family and friends and frenemies, it's happening in our name with our tax dollars. Now, I say that knowing full well that the last polling that has been done shows very clearly that the American people across political ideologies do not want to see this continue. They are not looking for more war in the Middle East. They are looking for peace. They do not want more weapons. As a matter of fact, an embargo movement took a foot, months and months ago in this country. So there's a collective consciousness, Dr. West, among the everyday people of this country. What we have here is a dereliction morally and legally of the leaders who have been sent to the federal government, serving on the federal level of government. They're not really doing what the people of this country want to have done. They're going in the opposite direction.
And that's primarily because of big money. We know what the lobbies do. We know how they operate. The same APEC that poured all that millions of dollars into the candidate that you ran against had little to do with the masses of people on the ground, had little to do with moral issues, had little to do with courageous witness. It had everything to do with big money, putting a noose around the neck of the politicians so that they will not say a mumbling word. And you can't get a politician, for the most part, except for Bernie and a few others, to speak with any power on behalf of the Palestinians. Sister Rashida, another exemption. Very few. Why? Because APEC got a noose around the neck of those politicians because they're giving them big money, and the politicians need the money in order to win the next election. So it has nothing to do with humanity. It has everything to do with money.
Yeah, it always does. And that's why we need campaign finance reform in the United States of America, so that politicians are less likely to answer to the donor class. But as long as we have unlimited amounts of money, as long as legalized bribery is legal in the United States of America. It is legal to bribe politicians, because that's what this is, Doc. Just plain and
That's
simple.
what it is. That's true. Normalize corruption, legalize bribery, and thoroughly institutionalize larceny. That's what so much of American politics has become. And the masses of people and poor people, be they in Gaza or be they in Los Angeles, are crushed because they don't have weight and they don't have enough people who care, who have power. And that's why it behooves us to be even more bold, more courageous, more consistent, more constant, and more willing to bear witness and sacrifice to tell the truth on Truth Time.
Yeah, we do. And the painful truth, indeed. I often feel like the politicians should have to wear where they're on their suits the names of the people who give them money, the names of the people who actually own them. We call it the NASCAR Act. The NASCAR drivers have them patches on them of the.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's a heck of an idea.
Yeah.
Some of these politicians, you wouldn't know what color their suits are.
Ooh, and that's a sad truth.
Sold out so many times they think it's normal. You know what I mean?
They do think it's normal. They will protect the owner donor class over the everyday people of this country. And that's why we don't have the nice things that we deserve. It is evident in the facts. It is evident in the lack of quality of life, meaning no universal health care, meaning that in any world in the United States where Social Security, Medicaid, or Medicare could be under threat to give tax breaks to the ultra wealthy. It is moral decay, and it's systemic decay too. That we got systems are not immutable, meaning somebody created those systems. So we can recreate another type of system. In other words, things as they are does not have to be how it is moving forward. And it's so hard to get so many of the American people to see this. They believe that this stuff is unmovable, and it's not.
No, it's true. But it is a David versus Goliath situation when you look at the big money and big military and big might and the history of oppressed people in the history of the species, not just the history of America, not just the history of the Middle East. The history of the species is, in fact, poor people, working people, organizing, mobilizing, and fighting. And there's no escape from that. That's why resistance is so crucial. And there's a lot of different forms of resistance. We talked before. You got nonviolent resistance. You got violent resistance. Any movement of the oppressed is going to have some form of violence resistance. That's how human beings are. Now, you can opt for violent resistance, okay. But if you support nonviolent resistance, it's still resistance, and you have to support resistance. But there's going to be violent resistance. Why? Because they're responding to violent put down. And so it's almost human nature that there's going to be some people that opt for violence. There's no doubt about that.
For every action, as we learn in science, there is an equal and opposite reaction. You know, we do go really deep on these issues that we raised, Dr. West, and I remember, so I want to say to our audience, they may have heard me say this before, but Minister Malcolm X's speech, The Ballot or the Bullet, as he was laying out the conundrum that America faces politically, one of the things that he did highlight in that speech is, to your point, that revolutions are usually bloody. But he believed that the United States of America could be the first nation to have what he labeled a bloodless revolution. But revolutions upend systems. They don't coddle the current system. They don't try to build on a faulty system. They totally upend the current system and they create something anew.
No, that's real. That's real. But the problem is that even in a war, you know, you got combatants who are killing combatants. So they join the army to kill combatants, knowing they're going to get killed. Well, that's war. There is such a thing as a justifiable war. The war against Hitler was justified. The war against apartheid was justified. The war against the Japanese fascists was justified. Not the dropping of the bombs, but the killing of combatants by combatants. But when you kill non-combatants and innocent people, those are war crimes across the board. And so the war crimes are to be understood as such. Murder is murder. And that therefore, when we talk about the resistance, we recognize that there will be forms of violent resistance against combatants. Now, when it moves toward non-combatants, then you got something else going on. But even the violence of, let's say, what's going on in Palestine, it's a counter-violence. It's counter.
Hold that thought. When we come forward, Dr. West is going to, right where he left off. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
The truth will set you free, but first it might raise your blood pressure.
I'm not driving you, man.
More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Black House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries is backing Chuck Schumer despite backlash over his GOP spending bill support, saying Schumer should stay Senate's top Democrat. Measles cases in West Texas have hit 279, matching last year's national total. Health officials are urging everyone to get the shot, especially in Black and rural communities where vaccination rates are much lower. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams is extending remote work for city employees, allowing up to 2 days a week for another year. The deal with DC 37, representing 150,000 workers, aims to keep city jobs flexible and accessible post-pandemic. And Corinne Rankin is the first Black woman to lead the California GOP, replacing Jessica Patterson, a Trump supporter. She says she's not concerned about his policies hurting Republicans in 2026. Upon her election, she called for ending Democratic control in California. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the voice of reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. We've got a lot to talk about.
On January 7th, 2025, the Eaton Canyon fire scorched Altadena, torching everything in its path. Homes, wealth, and legacy burned in one night. But will Altadena rise from the ashes? I'm James Farr. On the Conversation Live Altadena Rising, we're chronicling the recovery, the resilience, and justice for the nation. This is the show of record, unapologetically progressive. We're not blacking down. So join me, James Farr, on the Conversation Live, Altadena Rising, every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific with the rebroadcast on Sunday at noon.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. SMP volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an SMP open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caspvolunteer.org. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help.
The revolution will not be televised.
What's up? It is Killer Mike, also known as Michael Render, and I'm encouraging you to listen to more, not less, of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Senator Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
I'm back. Well, thank you so much for coming forward with us as we continue this riveting conversation. Doc, you were just about to, break it down some more. So please continue.
Oh, I was talking about when you have a context of sustained terrorism against the people. It could be the U.S. government under conditions of slavery terrorizing black people. And then here comes Nat Turner. He's a counter-terrorist. That is to say, he responds to the terrorism. If he's killing those who are responsible or those who are military wing of the slavery, he's involved in war. Now, if he's killing white babies, then he's wrong because you're killing innocent folk.
Yeah.
But counterterrorism spills over in that way. Well, so it is in Gaza. People have been terrorized for over 80 years, being killed every day, every month, every year, pushed out, displaced, dispossessed. You're going to get nonviolent responses, then you're going to get violent responses. If the violent responses are killing soldiers of the IDF, that's war. If they're killing innocent Israelis, that's wrong.
That's
but
right.
At the same time, it's counterterrorism. And if people can't say a word about all the Palestinians who have been killed before the Israelis killed, it's clear they have no moral compass in their project. They're tribalists. They're not concerned about Palestinians as human beings. They're only concerned about one side. Now, we don't want to be tribalists on any side. That's why the Black Freedom Movement has always been one to say, we want to keep track of the humanity of the white brothers and sisters, but we hate white supremacy, and we will not put up with the killing of our children because our children are just as precious as anybody else's children, same as true with Palestinians. So we don't get a word from those folk who are on supposedly defending Israel when it comes to the lives of Palestinians, men, women, and especially the babies. And that's where you have a moral compass. And if you have no moral compass, you know you're dealing with just gangsterized terrorism across the board, and they have no grounds in the end of any kind of gangsterized terrorism coming at them. And yet we want to hold on to morality. We want to hold on to spirituality, but you can't just keep killing folk at whim and at will.
Yeah, it's called hypocrisy, Doc. And for some, I mean, especially those in the leadership, they justify these actions by saying it's Hamas's fault. Hamas is using babies and adults, as shields. So this is their fault. But for me, that just doesn't compute, because if you know this to be true and you still go in and slaughter people like this, what really does that say about you? Now, I don't believe the vast majority of American people think that way. But when you hear people like Senator Fetterman talking his mess, and so many others of the Republicans to justify what is happening in the Gaza, this just doesn't make sense to me.
But most of those folk are really motivated by a deep anti-Palestinian racism. If you ask them directly, do you really care about Palestinian life? Do you really believe a Palestinian life has the same value as a Jewish life? You ask Fetterman that question. In his honesty, what would he say? Of course a Jewish life has more value than a Palestinian life. I am a Zionist. I'm Jewish. I'm concerned about my tribe. But they ask us, does a white life have the same value as a black life? We say, yes, it does. Do you really believe that? Yes, we do. It's hard for them to believe it because they don't have enough space in their hearts and minds and souls for people who are humanists. We're not tribalists. They are thoroughgoing tribalists. That's why they would want to protect Jewish lives on campus, but people who want to march to oppose genocide, you rather view them as anti-Jewish haters and do away with their voices than say something about the killing of Palestinians. That's tribal to the core. That ain't nothing but just racism, pure and simple. We got to call it for what it is and not become too discouraged, because we got some Jewish voices for peace. Oh, we got some young Jewish voices out there understanding what it is to be humanists and universalists and critical of tribalism. Absolutely. Very much so. And you got some Palestinians who are tribalists, who don't care enough about Jewish life. And you have to criticize them. Yes, we do, because the moral compass cuts in a number of different ways. But right now, when you're dealing with genocide and when you're dealing with ethnic cleansing at this scope and breadth, and we see it before our very eyes, if we don't do something, the rocks are going to cry out.
Yeah, I mean, just the hypocrisy is not going to be able to stand. There is such thing as spiritual laws. There is a karma that is really going to impact all of us, even the people who are not in positions to make these decisions. Because if these elected leaders were truly listening to the voices of the majority of the American people, we would not be doing this. That's one thing. Secondly, as I said, the Leahy Law and the Federal Assistance Act 620I, that act is very clear that when it is brought to the attention of an American president that a nation that we are providing weapons to is violating attacking civilians, violating humanitarian efforts, withholding humanitarian efforts, then that president is supposed to cease and desist. I mean, it's crystal clear. There's no ambiguity in it. And then when we overlay our laws with international law, it is very clear that we are in violation, that most of the European nations are in violation. Thank God South Africa, of all, had the audacity to stand up and say we're going to put the right-wing government, not the Israeli people, the right-wing government led by Netanyahu on trial. There's a warrant out for the man's arrest, Doc.
And they got the brother from the Philippines, but they haven't got Netanyahu yet. But it's fascinating to me that on the one hand, you got Democrats who understand the ways in which they violated the Leahy law, but the next moment they want Trump to follow the law. No, both of y'all are lawless. And in the name of the law, you're violating the law. And most importantly, you're committing crimes that are moral and spiritual and damaging the precious human life. And that goes beyond whatever kind of law you're talking about.
Yeah, crimes against humanity. Because it's our Palestinian sisters and brothers today, and it could be anybody else tomorrow. I mean, what they're doing to Mr. Khalil, again, it could be any of us. Yeah,
absolutely. And he's the peak of the iceberg. They come for all of us, but
yeah.
they can't never get all of us because they can't get our spirits. They can't get our fire.
No.
Never. We got something that they can't get to. They can never crush it.
Never. And your point about our Jewish sisters and brothers who know that this is wrong. You know, I've seen many, a lot of footage, certainly my dear Benjamin, who is dear to both of us, but just even of all generations saying, I remember listening to a person say, my grandparents were, in these concentration camps, and I was taught never again, and they meant that for everybody, never again, and just the profound nature and the strength of somebody telling that story. And even when we think about Senator Sanders, whose father, his family was exterminated in those camps. His father made it over here, and Senator Sanders has stood strong for the rights of our Palestinian sisters and brothers. Again, never again. And not in my name means for anybody.
That's right.
Yeah. So,
that's right.
I mean, just
that's
really
that moral compass that we all need and have to have if we're going to have any sense of decency and integrity.
Yeah. And it's human nature is hard. It's very challenging to kind of set aside that tribalism that you've been putting. Tribalism can go too far. And in this case, we're seeing it go too far. And again, Palestinians today could be any other group or anybody that you love or any issue that you are concerned about tomorrow, when the federal government could just come in and snatch up folks on a whim and declare that you are a terrorist just because they deem it so. Not listen to what the courts have to say, and to just say the heck with the Constitution of the United States of America. I mean, that is happening in real time. Doc, this used to be something I taught my students in class as something, McCarthyism, a thing of the past. And we're living through another version of that right now in 2025. You are listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner, really breaking down what is happening in the Middle East, the lack of moral courage and moral clarity on one hand, and on the other hand, not even following our own laws and international law. This is going to take the energy synergy of the people who have consciousness to stand up and say, not on our watch. This is not right. When we come forward, we will continue.
It's Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
During tax season, your info travels lots of places you can't control.
W-2 arriving from payroll platform 3.
Everything criminals need to steal your identity is on your W-2.
Last call for accountant at home office. 1 minute.
LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points per second.
Tax preparation data centers with service to IRS. All aboard.
If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
I feel so alone. I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed.
I don't like it inside.
When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts and emotions, it's okay to get help. You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
Slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pegol is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Truth crushed to earth shall rise again. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
It most certainly will rise again. Again, we count it all joy. Doc, we just going deep on this. This is a topic where you can't bounce from subject to subject because it's so important. So we're going to stay right here. I want to go to our regulars who are joining us live right now on the tube, as my grandson calls it, the tube. Let's turn on the tube. He calls it the tube. So we have many of our regulars who want to shout them out for taking their time to not only join us today, but also to share some of their thoughts. So we have Mr. Morris Phillips. Good afternoon, Dr. West and Senator Turner. Good afternoon, darling. We have Blessed Peacemaker. Dr. West is preaching, and he has preaching in all caps with an exclamation point. Love to you both from the mother continent. We have to stand in holy kinship with the least of these in Palestine, in Syria, in Congo. God's beloved matters everywhere.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
He goes on. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers in high places, and we are guaranteed victory. Amen to that. And reminding us to stay faithful as we often do, even as we lay out the realities of the landscape. We still encourage people to really stay faithful. We got Shayla Johnson and greedy and corrupt. I think she's referring to these elected officials on the federal level. Morris Phillips goes on to say President Carter referred to Israel as an apartheid state. So we do have certain of our elected leaders who have had the courage to call this thing what it is. President Carter, Doc, if I'm correct, wrote a whole book about this, did he not?
Yes, he did, but not when he was in office.
Yeah.
Not when he was in office. He was courageous once he left office. But you see, when you're in office, that's when your character is much more tested than when you're down on your peanut farm. You know what I mean? So we appreciate his courageous voice, but you got to raise your voice consistently in every context, wherever you are, any circumstance, because that's the kind of human being you choose to be before you die.
Yeah. I mean, at least he saw the light before. Some people never do, So God bless him. We got Sir TR33. These truths are like cool water. Thank you. Wow. Thank you. We have some really, really very smart and deep thinkers on our tube. Shayla Johnson saying both sides are wrong, as is the normal. Again, the two major parties, as we critique on a regular basis, Doc, doing the exact same thing. We got Anthony Westcott sending us hearts. Just shout out to each and every one of you for being with us today. My heart is just so heavy. I was just on a call. I was on the Santita Jackson show, and I was on with Rania Batrice, who is Palestinian. She was on the Sanders campaign. She's a sister out there just doing great work. And just to listen to what she had to say about what is happening to the Palestinian people. I mean, when you hear people tell their stories, if you have any type of heart, you can't help but to connect heart to heart. So I don't understand why these leaders just don't get that.
Well, the thing is, what they've done to black folk for over 400 years, you would think that people would have more heart for black people. Some catch on, but a whole lot don't. A lot don't get that memo of empathy and compassion. And you say, how many Palestinians need to be killed and murdered? How many babies need to be killed and murdered before people have any empathy? Well, for some folk, their hearts are cold, chilly, their conscience are coursing. Once you write off of people from the human race, you can do anything to them.
Yeah, that part.
That's what I mean by the anti-Palestinian racism that cuts so deep, so deep.
Yeah, they're using it as a racial slur now. They really are. All of us should be concerned about this issue, each and every one of us. You are listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner. When we come forward, we will have our closing thoughts.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach? Transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal? Prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part, they accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right. So we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text ROCK to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text ROCK to 42424. That's ROCK to 42424.
This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
Yes, it is beautiful indeed. Really covering a really heavy issue today. Innocents in Gaza just being massacred, being starved to death. Doc, we didn't even get to the millions of people who are just being starved to death. So it's not just physical death, just to be tortured that way is untenable, should be unacceptable. We're asking everybody that is under the sound of our voice just to care, to put yourself in this position, but by the grace of God, that could be any of us. And if we go back far enough, it was some of us generations ago. We got to care because we need somebody to care about us. Dr. West, I don't know, Marvin Gaye's lyrics to What's Going On came to mind for me. In having this conversation. I wish we could play a little bit of it. I should have requested it early. The spirit just hit me. I didn't know we were going to go totally this way, but now that we've gone this way, that's what came to mind. And so that song in 1971, as he talked about war, and he, mother, I'm not going to even do any justice to it. There's too many of you crying. And that's happening now in this country, and it's happening abroad. Brother, there's far too many of you dying. Yeah.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Far too many of you dying.
Far too many of you dying.
Yes.
Brother.
I mean, he was preaching in that song. And then to the fathers, we don't need to escalate. War is not the answer.
War is not the
for
answer.
Only love can
Only
conquer
love
hate.
can conquer hate.
He went on to say, we've got to find a way.
We've got to find
to bring some loving.
Bring some loving.
Today. I mean, that's it. Everything that Brother Marvin Gaye put in these
picket
lyrics.
Signs at Harvard, the picket signs at Columbia. Yes, the picket signs. Keep raising your voice. Don't let these gangsters shut us down. If we not hating nobody, we loving somebody.
Yeah. You can't be wrong. When you are fighting for love and when you are fighting for justice. For those of you who have never heard this song, which I can't imagine that there's anybody walking the face of this earth who has not heard this song. It is a classic. It crosses generations. Please go and listen to Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. It is a word for this day. Well, we count it all joy. We want you to live in your purpose, live on purpose, and remember, titles are good, but purpose is better. Until next time, truth time.
Truth time.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.